Hi, and welcome to the latest edition of the Magellan Minute series. My name's Felicity Haynes, Head of Retail at Magellan, and today I'm joined by Claire Britton, who's an analyst within our Global Equities team. Thanks for joining me, Claire.
Thanks for having me, Flick.
Claire, we've seen record growth within the technology sector this year, and recently Meta was added back to the portfolio. Can you just give us some reasons about why you felt it deserved a place within the global portfolio?
Absolutely. So Meta, for those who are unfamiliar, used to be called the Facebook company. That name change occurred in late 2021, really because it wasn't just about Facebook anymore. I think if you look at Meta's portfolio today, it's most well known for its social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram, which are the most popular social media platforms globally. But it's also the owner of WhatsApp, which is the largest messaging platform globally as well. And one of the reasons why we really like Meta is for that breadth of user base. Across Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, Meta has almost 4 billion monthly active users, and that number is still growing, which is remarkable. And with that user base, that social graph that they've built, that social networking data set, alongside some really good investment in their technology and their algorithm, Meta has built one of the largest advertising platforms globally with really efficient targeting capabilities. And Meta's experience in digital advertising has evolved to a point where they have a better understanding of how to advertise and really maximize your advertising spend than the brand itself. So no longer is it the case that an advertiser will come to Meta with a specific audience in mind, with a certain interest or age group or geography. Rather, Meta has a much better idea and understanding of how to really, who to target really, and how to maximize that advertising spend. And we think that's really valuable for the advertiser, particularly small business advertisers, like small businesses who don't have those large sales and marketing teams. The final point that I would make is that it's a really large opportunity here. The global advertising market is almost $1 trillion in size, with the digital advertising market making up the large proportion of that. And we think there are still opportunities for the digital advertising market to continue taking share from the traditional offline ad formats, and for Meta to really be a big beneficiary of that, and which will really drive its long-term growth over the future.
And no investment is without risk. And I know the team spend a lot of time weighing up the risk-return profiles of all of our companies that we consider. So what sort of risk does TikTok pose when it comes to Meta?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Assessing risks and their probability and their impact is something we do spend a lot of time on. So TikTok, which is a social media platform owned by the Chinese company ByteDance, really started gaining momentum about 5 years ago. And between 2018 and 2021, very quickly grew its users to 1 billion people globally. And the risk there for Meta is the potential loss of user time, of user engagement, and then subsequently advertising dollars. But something that Meta's really good at is adapting to change and really innovating when they see new trends or disruptive threats. For example, when Snapchat launched and started gaining momentum in the 2010s, Meta introduced Instagram Stories, that peekaboo-style social media format. And they very quickly surpassed Snapchat in terms of usage. And if we compare those two companies side by side today, Meta's advertising revenue is 30 times the size of Snapchat's. Similarly, with the TikTok threat, Meta saw that they were growing in popularity and introduced Instagram Reels, which is their short video format, really with young adults in mind. And this is competing really well against TikTok. Just last quarter, Meta commented on really healthy growth with young adults. And that's a really important, cohort, the 18 to 29-year-old cohort, which will help drive future growth. The other thing that Meta is using to help drive growth of that cohort is Facebook Marketplace, which really goes back to that social graph and that social networking data set and the value of that I mentioned before. So TikTok absolutely still remains a threat for Meta, and it's something that we continue to monitor. But we think Meta is adapting really well. And we think that ability to adapt is really important, particularly in our technology sector, where the pace of change is so fast and can be so fast.
And Claire, what are your thoughts on the potential TikTok ban?
Yeah, it's a hot topic. So earlier this year, President Biden signed a bill into law that would ban TikTok from operating in the US unless its Chinese owner ByteDance spun it out. And we really think there's one of three ways that this can go. Firstly, TikTok is actually in the courts right now. They're suing the US government on the basis that this law is unconstitutional. There's a chance that they win that, and if they do, the law won't be put forward, and we'll probably end up in a status quo to what we're at today. ByteDance has said that it doesn't want to spin TikTok off and that a sale is not on the table. If, however, they change their mind and sell it off to a US business, then we'd likely end up in a very similar position to where we're at today, albeit probably with a period of slight disruption for TikTok and probably some changes in the way that that algorithm works. The final scenario is where TikTok loses this legal case. ByteDance holds firm and chooses not to spin the business off, in which case they will be banned from the US, and over time we think that will be positive for Meta.
And Claire, you talked about Meta's ability to adapt to change. How are they using artificial intelligence?
So artificial intelligence is absolutely infusing its way into every one of our technology companies in the sector, at least that I cover, but also well beyond our sector as well. But I would say there's a large variance between companies that can really utilize AI, that can monetize it and drive growth, and those that are just using it in edge cases. And we think Meta falls in the former category and has a number of opportunities to really capitalize on AI. So let me elaborate on a couple. The first one I would mention is messaging. I spoke about earlier how Meta owns the WhatsApp platform, world's largest messaging platform globally. But they also have the Facebook messaging platform and Instagram direct messaging. And they have launched their AI assistant across all of those channels. And according to the company, are on track to be the largest AI assistant or the most used AI assistant by the end of the year. Now, granted, some of that interaction may be accidental from users interacting with Meta AI, but I think that really speaks to the power of its installed user base as well. And we really think there are opportunities for Meta to help businesses unlock value, to help them really scale user interactions, customer interactions with the use of AI, with automation, but also help facilitate that full cycle of customer engagement. And we really think that that's a considerable monetization opportunity for Meta, and we're already seeing signs of progress there. The second opportunity that I will mention is content creation. And I spoke about earlier how Meta's really good at pushing your content to the right audience to really maximize that spend on advertising. But as the advertiser, you're still responsible for creating that content. And where Meta wants to get to is a point where you as the advertiser come to Meta with an objective and a budget, and they will do the rest for you, including creating that content for you. And again, we think that there's huge value in this for small businesses that just lack the time to do that. The last opportunity that I would mention is large language models. So Meta has built a number of large language models which have been trained on its very unique first-party data set. And we think that that is a real competitive advantage for Meta. They have also chosen to open source their large language models, which means they're available for anyone to access, for developers to create tools and really build upon the existing capabilities of those large language models. And in doing so, we think Meta will be a really important player in that market.
So it seems like there's a huge opportunity ahead for artificial intelligence. And I also hear that Mark Zuckerberg's working on some augmented reality glasses.
He is indeed. So Meta's AR glasses, augmented reality glasses, fall within their broader metaverse strategy or reality lab strategy, which is really the last pillar of Meta's business model that I haven't touched on yet. This is a long-term project, but Mark Zuckerberg's vision is really that the metaverse is the next extension of the internet. It is a more 3D, more immersive experience. And if you look at Meta's existing business models today, its existing platforms, it's really about building technology that brings consumers together. And that's what the metaverse is trying to do. It will be an extension from this. It requires a lot of investment, not only on the software and on the operating system, but also on the hardware piece too. But we're really seeing some impressive results out of that from Meta. One example of this is the AR glasses that you mentioned earlier. So Meta released these just weeks ago. They're called the Orion glasses. They are eyeglasses that interact digitally with your environment. They have Meta's AI assistant built into them as well. And so just to provide one example, when you're wearing the glasses, you can step into your pantry and the technology can recognize the ingredients in front of you and bring up a holograph of a potential recipe that you could pop together. So we think they're super impressive. Unfortunately, they're not available to consumers yet, but the underlying technology is really a sign of the investment that Meta's putting into this business, and we think that's signs of great things to come.
That's a great update. Thanks, Claire. And I think there'll be lots of people wanting to try out those glasses.
I think so too.
And thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, please reach out to the distribution team, and please feel free to share this video with your clients and colleagues.